What is up, guys? Stephen Jeffrey of SJ Relics. I hope you guys are doing well today. My dad is recouping wonderfully from his hip surgery. He went through that yesterday. I posted a video about his Gesco fixed blade, and anyway, I was back today and just kind of again just going through the house and just looking at things that he's got a lot to see, a lot of a collection that he's accumulated over a lifetime. And anyway, I brought out one of his bins because we cleaned out my grandfather's old gun case to make way for him to get through with like the little scooter and things like that. But actually he's not having to use the scooter, but still it just made it kind of unobstructed him getting in and out of his bedroom. But sorry if I'm a little out of breath, but I want to show you what is going on here in this first bin. So without further ado, let's get into this. I'm gonna flip the camera around here and open this. So here's that bin that I'm going to show you today. Y'all recognize one of these. These are just the Sterlites from Walmart, and but I'm doing it at this angle because I want you to see. Are y'all ready for this? Let me get this other side unlocked. All right, here we go. Woo-yow. This is just a pile of weaponry. Just a bunch of it. Things that he's made, things that he's collected. I'm gonna set it up and we're gonna show you some of these right here, but and just check them out. As you can see, this is not going to be a pocket knife affair, but it will be a sharp and shiny affair today. But this is just a lot of stuff out of his just that particular cabinet, and we've got that cabinet moved to the other end of the house. This is a stock that goes on a 1022. It's like a blackout stock. I have a 1022 with the banana clip, the old, old style rifle, and he thought it'd be fun to put one of these on it for a while, and so he did, and it lived that way for several years, but now it's back in its original form. Y'all hear that? Hold on, y'all hear that? Here we go. Hear that ring? That's almost musical. Anyway, this looks like something. My dad may have made this. I would have to ask him. Man, I'm just amazed by that. Anyway, imagine getting whacked in the head with that. I mean, that is a skull crusher. It's got that brass end on it there. Forgive me, I'm not going to know what everything is called here. He did some little faux carving in there, and then here's the leather on that. And I'm not going to be able to get all this in here. And look at that spike on the end. So if you can't get them this way, get them that way, that way, that way. But cool battle axe. It's not too hefty. There's that blade stock. It's not overly beefy, but it'll cut. It's definitely something I would be scared of. And I'm in the country also. That was a shotgun y'all heard. So yeah, I'm out here in the country in Walterboro. Now this is one my dad made, and this is so the bottom of a saw, and you can see how huge this is. The bottom of a saw runs a 80-foot circular saw and a bandsaw mill that cuts pine boards. This is what catches on the gear and pulls the saw through, and then the teeth of the saw would be on this side. But when my dad first started making knives, he was doing stuff like this. And you can see those handles. I don't know what kind of wood that is. And he used those St. Louis screws on all of his old stuff. And then he drilled holes all the way through, and you can see that cross. And he put the brass in there, and then you can see it's on both sides. So that brass goes all the way through. But again, this thing will cut. And this is carbon steel. This is Udahome Swedish steel. or Udahome, I think is how it's pronounced. You can look it up. It will pop up. It is a high carbon steel. Has a fantastic edge on it, and it will cut. Here's a SOG axe. Very, very cool. This looks like something that he made. Let's see what it is. Check out that leather. Boy, Mr. Wade Helms he loves doing those rivets, and this is kind of in that style. Let me get this thing open. So again, sorry, shotguns. Again, there we go. Look at that. He may have made this. I don't. Yeah, it's got his etch on it there. Of course, he etched a cross on that on both sides. That will cut. I don't even know what that's called. Again, it's a bearded. It's almost like a ulu, but it's or an axe. Now this right here is a shout out to Whiz Bang Wednesday, Brother Stan. Just total fantasy knife. Craziness. This is chip away. There's the tang stamp. So this definitely probably came from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. By the power of Gray Skull. Anyway, yeah, that's that. This is cool. This is a sharp, this is a sharp axe by the brand Sharp. Of course, these were sold at Kmart. And this was made in Japan by the J.A. Pan Company. Beautiful axe. Very 1970s, early 80s. You can pull a nail with that. Now the blade stock on this, you can see, is very thin. It's thick, but then it's thin for an axe, so it's not one that's got any heft on the chopping end, but it's cool looking. Look at those handles. Just a good looking axe. 440 stainless, Japan. And then there's the Sharp tang stamp. A lot of people will remember that company. Again, they were at Kmart for years. Here's this looks like an Ontario, but it's not marked that I can see. That's a nice size butcher knife. This one's got, check out the pins on that. So you can tell this one's got some age on it. And I love that carbon steel. Again, look at those pins. Very cool knife. Here we go. Now this is something that he made for sure. A cleaver. A big old whopping cleaver. This thing is sick. This is like made out of gang saw. And again, there's those St. Louis screws on that from Tractor Supply. This is some of his early stuff, so it's more simple and in the way he made it. Now check this out. This is a whiz bang, and this is a whiz banger made by my dad. All right, y'all ready for this? Booyah! Look at that shape. But the purchase on that is crazy. I mean, it just fits in your hand like a glove. Anyway, very, very, very sharp. Of course, you can see the rawness of that saw steel. He did a little lanyard there. Cool knife. Moving right along here. This is a survival knife. This is an M-Tech. Very cool. It's probably gonna be too much for a video. I'm probably gonna have to break this in two. Now this is neat. I think JC showed something like this. He showed the Kershaw version, I do believe. And of course, it has this cool leather sheath that my dad made for it with a belt clip. So that's some of his leather work there. And here we go. It's one of those nylon or whatever that plastic is. But this one, that tip is pretty stout, and it's of course serrated edge. Cool knife. Cool. He must have put this one's molded. It's like he really molded that one there. It's like I'll put it on the screen. That stuff they make knife cases out of. Anyway, moving right along. This is a cool sheath. I think this is some of his work too. Yeah, check that out. He got a military concho. Look at it. It's got this little survival knife in there. Little teeny survival knife. There you go. It's right down in there on the front of the sheath. And then of course you get something like a Western or something in that. That is very cool. This one is, again, this is another sheath that he made, and it looks like he cut like a police belt down and made this sheath, because you can see how it's layered and stacked. It's 3 layers of the belt. This belt probably was like something my grandfather had a lot of police belts, and so this is probably one of those. This is a buck 407. So there's a buck 407. It's actually in really good shape. It's just got some it's kind of polished in some areas. Again, be a cool skinning knife. Again, there's that tang stamp. So that's a buck 407 in a police belt sheath with some spikes on it. And this right here is, again, another sheath my dad made. Like a katana, kind of little action. Very, very, very cool. Has a snap that goes over, and really cool tooling on that. Here's another one of those bearded axe kind of things. If you know what these are called, drop it in the comments. This is a BV 247 made in Chanika. Got a lot of paracord on it. To it. This is a US MA1, and this is by BM Co. It is a nice bayonet. This one's a beautiful, beautiful bayonet. Of course, it's been sharpened and all kinds of stuff, but cool knife. I love that handle. I love that. That's beautiful. When I was growing up, you could go to, I remember we could go to King Street in Charleston, King Street, sorry, and you could find all kinds of cool. There was a military surplus store on King Street, and I remember you could buy military surplus for cheap, and now, I mean, those are a lot of them are valuable if they're in good shape. But this is a boot knife my dad made. Let's check it out. I don't know that I've ever seen this one. This is some of his leather work again. He's done a lot of experimenting. That's a clip off of a Night Eyes thing. Anyway, here we go. And he blued this blade on this one. So that's some gun bluing, it looks like. And then he sharpened it. This was something early he did. It's got some leather around it. Keep it from cutting you, you know. But and it's magnetized, so he's got a magnet in there. So yeah, boot knife, very rustic looking. This is look, check this out. This is a Stanley. Boy, that thing's a hoss. That'll get her done right there. That's a Stanley Fat Max. Yeah. That's a knife right there, or a machete. This is one that he did. This is a fat boy right here. This one's, he got a big hand. Anyway, he was in, that's of course, inlaid brass. And he polished it off. And again, this is his early stuff, so he was doing that kind of almost like a steak knife handle, where he would do that and put those St. Louis screws through there. Cool piece though. All right, here is a gun blue. This is a Fulton brand, Foster Brothers, 1190. That is a hoss right there. That is a meat cleaver. Look at that. Very cool. I kind of like the patina on that. Some kind of wicked steak knife. Cool patina though. That will cut for sure. All right, this is a rehandled Ontario. See, there's the Tang stamp, Ontario Knife Company, and made in the USA. I love the way they do that that forged look on top, and that is a cool tip. I don't know that this knife came this way. You can drop it in the comments. He may have reshaped that tip, but just a cool knife. And that's handles that he did. He rehandled this one, I'm sure. It looks like it's got dowels, probably glued. Cool knife. There's that gun again. You heard it in the last video. I don't know what this is. This is another sheath that he made. Oh, check that out. Man, that'll get you. Wow, wow. Gas station stabby stabby. Anyway, that's like Damascus. Can you see that? Very, very cool. So guys, some of this stuff I've never seen. So this is one that he made, and it's cool. He was trying to do these index finger grips through there, and this is, of course, this is some of his early leather, so it's kind of boxy. And he's got his little Tang stamp there. That's yes, Williams Saw Cutlery. And then check that out. Wata. Very sharp. Look at that tip. And of course, this is again, this is, if you didn't catch the last video, this is Udahome saw steel. So it's high carbon. It will rust, but it is very sharp steel. It's got a spike on the end. That spike, I don't know if that's welded. I don't know what's going on there, guys. This is a M48. And this is made in China, M48 Tactical Commando. Very beefy knife. It's got a lot of weight on the tip because of that, the way that's done. It'll chop. You could get stuck in the woods with that, you know, and got that saw on the back. Here is a SOG. Again, this is some of his leather work. This is a SOG axe. He's got, this is a drop out about the bottom. Trying not to get cut. I've reached in some of these boxes before and filleted myself. So he must have really liked this axe because this is the second one of these I've shown, but it's got a variation. Cool sheath. Again, what I was trying to think of in the other video, like Kydex, the way this leather is done, it's hard, so it's almost like Kydex. Very cool. All right, I want to tell a story about this one. It's not really a story, but just a real quickie. So beside my grandmother's house, they lived in town, and my dad, the neighbors threw out a table, and so my dad cut the table legs off because he thought, man, that would be cool to make an axe out of. So without further ado, here it is. Check that out. So this is saw steel that's been blued. He cut that cross through it. There you go. Look at that. Anyway, wrapped it in leather. And then this is a table leg. Of course, there was where it sat, and you can imagine that table sitting in a grandma's house. And now it's that. It's got some weight to it too. Very choppy. Oh, here we go. If Jim's watching this, Jim, floption. You know how you do the pencils in school and you make them look like they're rubber by doing this? Anyway, this is a SOG. Big SOG machete. And I'll just do two more out of this. All right, this was probably a wheelbarrow handle. So turned into an axe. This is one of his axes he made. There's the cross again. A lot of work went in this one. And then there's that and the two spikes. These are, I think these went on like van truck lugs. You know, those tough looking van trucks going down the interstate. And then check out that handle. Major patina on that. Very cool. A lot of heft. Very I don't know. It just feels like it would there'd be a lot of power behind that. But it fits in your hand nice. You wouldn't think it would, it being a wheelbarrow handle, but I guess so. That's why it was a wheelbarrow handle. Here is one that he made, and it looks like he blued it. This is some of his early stitching, so it's all wide. And I did the same thing on a lot of my early slips. I would just drill the holes where I thought they would need to mark them out with a ruler. There's a nice little concho there, and a little patriotic concho. This is a mossy oaks. This has been rehandled. Check that out. Cool little knife. Modified Monday. He did a lot of modding on knives. I'll just show a couple more out of this. Let's see if I can find something amazing. All right, here we go. This one's cool. All right, this is an axe, but check this out. All right, see if you can tell what this is. This was the tooth out of the bandsaw. So that bandsaw, it would have been this way, coming through a tree. So this axe literally cut 1,000 trees, at least, before it was an axe. But the same piece of steel, and there's another one of those table legs. So not to let things go to waste. This table inspired yet 2 axes. So cool stuff. And I'm gonna show this is a Camillus. I have never seen that. Check out that sheath. M12 bayonet. Let's see what this is. I have no idea. I've never seen one of these. I'm kind of scared. All right, here we go. Check this out. All right. Man. Camillus. Camulus. Look at that. That is wild. Wild. Anyway, what a weapon. What a tool. Here's another SOG. I didn't know SOG made all this stuff. This thing's got some weight to it too. Put a different head on it and make a awesome spear. All right, we'll do one more, depending on what I find here. Maybe 2. Oh, this is cool. This is cool. I know this is not a knife, but I love old keys. Check that out. That is very cool. I'm gonna have to ask him about that one. Another little skeleton key. I've got a lot of skeleton keys. All right, here we go. We'll do one of these little. Check that out. That's crazy. That's like a dragon heart. Yes. Can you hear Sean Connery? Remember that movie Dragon Heart? I feel like this is like a dragon nail. Wow. Anyway, all right, this is a Marine Recon Force. Of course, this is probably made in China. Yes, it is. Very cool. Little badge in the handle there. And boy, that will cut. Check it out. That's in the words of my friend from Georgia, that's a big old knife. Man, that's a big old knife right there. Crossbow pistol. I'm gonna show a knife too, but this is a crossbow pistol. You don't see one of those every day. Here, let's pull it back. Oh. Y'all, I don't wanna hurt myself. Oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. So you pull it back here. All right, it's locked. Ready? There it goes. Man, you could like hurt somebody with that thing. But anyway, a crossbow pistol. For those of y'all that know, you know. I don't know how you guys collect, but you just the main thing that I always hear, especially like antique dealers or or guitars or whatever. Collect what you like, what makes you happy. Don't necessarily collect for monetary value, or because what you may think will impress others. If you see something and you like it, then that's you collect the knives that you like to see, and that bring you joy to look at. And that's part of the knife collecting is you pull a knife out of your pocket, or you wouldn't pull this knife out of your pocket, but if you pull a pocket knife out and you just look at it and you hold it in your hand. I go in sometimes at night before I go to bed, and I'll pick up a few knives or pull out a drawer of knives that I haven't looked at in a while, and I'll sit there and just check them out and look at them and get my little magnifying glass, because I can't see so well without these on, and just I'll look at them, and I'll pull out my little Cape Cod cloths and polish them up, and then I'll put them back. But some reason that just kind of caps off the day. And of course, definitely when I lay down, I say my prayers and all that stuff as well, and think about just things from the day. But something about going in there and just kind of looking at my knives and checking them out, and just kind of relaxing, just nothing else going on, just sitting there checking them all out. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you enjoyed this content. Get out there, do something, and wherever you go, whatever you do, carry a good knife or dragon finger, whichever one appeases you. Anyway, have a great day. Thanks, and God bless.